Today we're diving into a question I get all the time. Can a 3-bed care home actually be profitable? Hey friend, I'm Brandon Gustafson. I help first-time assisted living entrepreneurs launch profitable, purpose-driven businesses in 12 months, creating prosperity, purpose, and peace in their lives. Make sure you hop over to assistedlivinginvesting.net and stick around until the end of the video. I've got a special offer just for you to help you get started on your assisted living journey. All right, let's talk about it. Can a 2 or 3-bed care home actually be profitable? The short answer to that question is yes, but there are a ton of pros and cons. So let me break it down for you here in this video. Number one, you might want to consider a live-in caregiver model. If you want this to be profitable, you're probably going to be needing to give a lot of time and effort into this business for it to become profitable. And that means there's going to need to be a live-in caregiver, possibly you being that live-in caregiver. The reason for that is it's going to reduce your staffing costs. That's the biggest cost, the biggest expense when it comes to assisted living. So that's a huge one. So if you do that, you're paying yourself to be the live-in caregiver. You're providing that care and you don't have to hire other people. All of a sudden your labor costs get shrunk. You're paying yourself the money that you would like to make for it, which is going to be great. And you could potentially pay yourself twice as well. You get paid as an employee that's doing the work and doing the caregiving, and then you can also do profit distribution. So I would encourage you to go talk to an accountant to figure out exactly how that might impact you and your tax situation. But it's a good strategy that you could implement to be a W-2 employee and then also be an owner and get some passive income that comes through that. Especially if you own the real estate, there could be some benefits there. So there are some potential tax advantages when you get into this, but it is a lot of work for you to be that live-in caregiver. So I want you to be aware of that. But if you do that, it can cut your expenses and has the opportunity for you to be profitable in this business. The second thing that I want to point out is you have maybe some smarter cost management that you can implement because you're so close to what's happening inside of the facility. So that's going to be something that's really big. Smaller homes, the smaller they are, the more control that you have over things like groceries and cleaning and supplies. You just are able to control that. Even me owning a 16-bed facility is going to be a lot easier for me to manage those costs than if I had a 100-bed facility. Because I only have 16 residents in my home, I'm able to do that. And so on a smaller scale, you just have more control over how much food you're buying for your residents, making sure you're not overbuying, make sure you don't have a lot of waste, make sure, same with supplies. You want to make sure that you do that and you have more of an ability to do that. You still have to meet some of those requirements, that amount of things you have to have on hand and in the event that you have a survey that comes to your facility, but the volume of it is significantly different. 3 versus 16 versus 100. You're going to see that it's just very, very different and you have a lot more cost control when it comes to that. Your insurance will probably be cheaper as well because you have fewer residents. It's a smaller property. I wouldn't say that it's proportionally lower than it would be in a 16 or 100-bed facility. This is not a, it's $100 per month per resident that you have in your facility type of a thing. But you might be, a 16-bed facility, maybe you have $2,000 in insurance payments per month, and then if you're down to 3 residents, maybe you're looking at like $1,000 to $1,200. I'm not giving you a direct quote. You want to talk to an insurance broker to make sure you get that for your situation, but you could see something that is quite a bit lower, and that is a cost savings for you. So that's something that you would want to take into consideration as well. I would also say when it comes to funding, when you're doing a smaller care home like this, it opens up a few more funding opportunities. You can be owner occupied, which opens up opportunities for things like FHA funding or VA funding or some other loan programs that allow you to have something that is a lower interest rate with a lower down payment and allow you to get in. So that's something that you want to take into consideration in these smaller homes, whereas something like what I have, where it's a 16-bed and I don't live there, I can't get that owner occupied financing. So if I do an SBA loan, I'm probably looking at around 15% as a down payment, 15 to 20% to be realistic. Or if I'm going to do something that is more conventional, I'm probably looking at 20 to 30% as a down payment, so that it is significantly more. Whereas if I own this home, or I'm going to buy a home and I'm going to live in it, I could do something that's like 3 to 5% down, and that is a significant cost savings in the amount of money that it takes to get started in this. So that's something that I want you to take into consideration as well, that you could probably get into this a little bit easier with less money if you want to go this route. Okay, so that's an important piece for it. But I'm going to stick around a little bit. Don't take that as, oh cool, I can do this, perfect, turn off the video, I'm good. You need to make sure you wait until the end, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about why you may not want to do this. Don't jump into this just saying, oh cool, Brandon said that, hey, I could do this, 3% down, we're in a good spot. Pump the brakes, stick around to the end of the video, and let's talk about that a little bit more. The other thing that I would say is, in these smaller homes, you can be unlicensed. When you start creeping up to 6+ beds, that's in most states, that's where you're going to have to become licensed. And when you're unlicensed, you can save money because you don't have to spend the thousands of dollars to become licensed. I always suggest that you still follow the licensing process, even if you're going to not be a licensed facility. It's a good practice for you, and then you have high quality care and really good mechanisms and policies and procedures in place to provide the care to your residents. But if you're going to be this small of a home, you don't need to be licensed, and that can save you quite a bit of money as you're getting into this as well. So that's a huge cost savings for you that I want you to be aware of. The third big thing that I would say that's beneficial with these types of homes is the structure and the compliance. Like I mentioned, you're not going to have to be licensed, so that's good, but there are still things that you should be doing as you're trying to move into this phase of becoming an unlicensed care home or a small facility with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beds. Some things that I really want you to make sure that you're doing. Number one is, I'm not an attorney, so make sure you go and talk to one. So this is not legal advice, but I would suggest that you set up an LLC. This will protect you from all legal and liability situations. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, okay? So that means that everything that is inside of that LLC is going to be, that's where the liability is limited to. And so you're not going to have to worry as much about getting in trouble, somebody coming to sue you for your personal assets and things like that, as long as you treat it correctly. Now, in a situation where you're a living caregiver and you have this small home and you're in the home consistently, that there may be a bit of a gray area. So talk to an attorney. Make sure you understand what the implications are there, because if it is your place of residence and people are living there and something happens, how is that going to work? So you want to make sure that you understand all of the complexities that go into this. So hire an attorney, save yourself a bunch of time and headaches potentially down the road. It is absolutely worth spending a few $100,000 to make sure that you have a good, solid legal plan in place. You will be so happy you did. We have dealt with legal situations in the past with our residents, and it's hairy, it's really difficult to work through. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, type in legal down below, and I'll see if I can share a little bit of that story with you. So type in legal if you'd like to hear a little bit more about that story. Next thing is, you should have some kind of a simple lease agreement in place. Again, I'm not an attorney, go talk to one, but between the landlord, and that could be you own the property or somebody you're leasing it from, but between that landlord and the business, you need to have that. You can actually, I have a free template for you if you go to assistedlivinginvesting.net/lease-agreement. We'll link that down below for you. You can go and get that free template. It's something I worked with my attorneys on, and we'll give you kind of a leg up in how you want to set that up. But this is an agreement between landlord business and the operational business, what you would call a propco and an opco. That's what you're looking for here, okay? So go make sure you set something up like that. Having the proper entity structure in place and then having proper lease agreements is going to protect you a lot when you get into this as well. And I would make sure that you have the proper licenses, and even an unlicensed home where you don't have to be a licensed assisted living facility or care home in your state, you're probably going to need to have some kind of a business license in the city or the county. It's not always required, but you want to make sure that you have those things in place just in case it is, that you are properly displaying any licenses that are required so you don't get into any trouble when somebody makes some kind of a complaint. So make sure you have those things in place, make sure you have proper insurance. You need to make sure that you stay compliant, because if not, then you're going to get shut down. You could have fines. There could be a litany of problems, and you want to avoid that. So make sure you are still following the rules, even if you're going to be an unlicensed facility. Make sure you understand exactly what that means in your state. It's going to allow you to be a lot more successful that way. Now, on the flip side, I want to give you a few reasons why you should not be doing this small 2 or 3 bed care home. I want you to pump the brakes because I personally don't think that it's the best idea for you. If I were to advise you, if I'm your coach, and I would love to be, I wouldn't do this. I would have something that is larger. I personally will not look at anything that is less than 10 beds, but I know people that are successful doing smaller homes. It's just, for me, it's a comfort level. So my advice to you here on why you should not be doing this is there's limited income potential here. I have an underwriting calculator. Go to assistedlivinginvesting.net. It's the big blue box, the top right corner. Go grab that thing, and it will help you out as you're trying to move things along on your path to launching your assisted living business. But with only 2 or 3 residents in a home, there's a really, really hard, stiff ceiling on what your revenue is going to be. So if you are charging people $5,000 per month on that, it seems like a lot, right? 2 residents, that's $10,000. 3 residents, that's $15,000. But if one of those residents leaves, your income drops significantly. Let's say you're charging $5,000 per month. You've got 3 residents in there, fully occupied. You're generating $15,000 in income. Sounds great. But if you have just one of those residents leave, your income goes from 15 down to 10,000. That's a 33% reduction in the amount of income that you have. And your profit, your revenue that you're getting, the profit that's there, is going to come from that $5,000 that person is no longer there. Potentially not even all of it. So you can see, like, if you do that and you have just this fluctuation, as much as I would love for you to be 100% full, and it's certainly possible, I would never plan on that when you're doing the underwriting. So the chances of you dipping into a spot where you have a resident pass away or move or need to go to a higher level of care and having multiple of those happen consecutively, like we have had instances where we have had 2 or 3 residents in a 3-4 week period have to leave for whatever reason. And if that happened to you in a 2 or a 3 bed care home, all of a sudden you don't have any income, but you still are going to have to pay for your staff and your insurance and all of those types of things. So it's something that you want to make sure that you're aware of. It can really put you upside down fast. This is the biggest reason why I would say you got to pump the brakes on this, and why I don't recommend doing a 3 bed care home. I really don't. And why I would do 10 plus beds. And it's because the opportunity to scale is so much better when you have a larger facility. The opportunity to generate more income and put yourself in a better financial, more stable situation, it's better when you have more beds. So this is why I always suggest that you go bigger. Go to the max amount that you can for the type of license that you're going to get, and the max amount that you can do in the home that you have, in the property that you have, because it is going to benefit you. So make sure you're doing those things and finding ways to add more money, because this is a very expensive business to run. And so you want to make sure that you're aware of that and the implications that can happen if you don't have enough money. It can be really, really hard on you. And the other thing that I want to point out to you is reasons why I wouldn't do this is the lifestyle trade-offs that you're going to have. If you are a live-in caregiver, you don't get a lot of free time. You have to be on all the time. Even when you're sleeping, you got to be on call. You're the person that's there. You're living in the facility. If you want a break, you're going to have to hire somebody, and that's going to be kind of expensive to hire somebody. It can be really hard to do that. It can feel like you never leave work because you don't. You are living in the facility. You're always caring for your residents. And some of you're like, oh, that's fine. I'd love to do it. But like, do you want to do it for the next 10 to 15 years and perpetually and something like that? It's just hard. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but I'm just saying you need to think through this, because it can be a lot of work. It's very heavy type of work. You're dealing with people that sometimes are getting close to end of life, and that is really hard. You create these attachments with people, and it's really hard to see them go, and you don't get a chance to just walk away from it when you're the living caregiver, when you're doing that type of a model. So it's really, really hard to do it. Whereas if you have more residents, you can have more staff, you can give yourself more of a break. You could still be a living caregiver in a large home. The facility we purchased in Idaho, the previous owner actually lived there with their family for 2 or 3 years. This was 20, 30 years ago, but they did that with 10, 12 residents in the home. So you can do this in a larger home. It's just in a smaller home, you are the only person. You got to be very, very careful with how you do this. So I want to quickly recap for you. You can do this. Ultimately, You can do this, you can be profitable, it can work for you, but you're probably going to need to have some kind of a living caregiver model, something that you're going to need to consider. You can save money because you have smarter cost management, you have a little more control over what's going on, which is great, but I would still suggest that you have the proper structure in place so that you protect yourself and your assets and your personal assets and everything is the way that it needs to be. You need to also understand there is a pretty hard cap on your income potential. It's pretty limited, so you need to be aware that that's something, if you're in this for the money, doing a smaller care home probably not going to be the best fit for you. It could be a great way to wet your feet for sure, but it's probably not going to be the money-making machine that you're hoping for to create that time and financial freedom. Speaking of, the other thing that you need to be aware of is it can be a huge time suck. It's going to be a huge lifestyle trade-off. So if your goal in getting into assisted living is create time and financial freedom, and a lot of you, that's what you want, this model, this 2 or 3 bed care home, it is probably not going to be for you. Now, I mentioned at the start of the video that I have a special invitation for you. I'm hosting a live challenge that's coming up soon. If you need some help building your roadmap to start you on your assisted living journey, to help you get started, go check it out, roadmapchallenge.com. I hear from a lot of you don't know how to get started. Like, you don't even know where to start. You are confused and scared of funding and licensing, and you just don't know what to do. This challenge, it is intended to help you out with that. It is a 5-day live experience. It's going to help you build your personal roadmap to know what steps you should be taking, give you the clarity and the confidence to help you move forward and launch your own assisted living business. So make sure you go check that out at roadmapchallenge.com. If you found this video to be helpful, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell as well so you get notified every time we put out content like this. We go live on Tuesdays and we go live on Thursdays. Would love to help you out as you are trying to launch your assisted living business, and YouTube is a great way for me to do that. The challenge is the other way. Go to roadmapchallenge.com. Also, go check out the Profitable Assisted Living book at thealibook.com. We will link all these things down below for you to help you launch your assisted living business using my 5-phase framework to help you make progress and reach your goals of time and financial freedom. Curious about assisted living? At Assisted Living Investing, I help first-time assisted living entrepreneurs launch profitable, purpose-driven businesses, creating prosperity, purpose, and peace in their lives. And remember, it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. Just keep going step by step by step. And I promise you, if you do and you are consistent and persistent, you are going to be successful. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.